So that's it. I'm going to pray, and we'll have Matt come up. Father God, I just thank you for everyone here, that we're all here on a Wednesday night, Lord, to hear what you have to say. I just pray that you bless the rest of the service here. Help us to have ears to what you have for us in application. And Lord, just continue to burn in us for more hunger, for more of your word. Just bless this time in your word tonight. Bless Matt as he teaches us and shares with us what you've got for us through him. Just thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Well, greetings. Hey. Oh my goodness. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, I've been battling a herniated disc, and by the grace of God, I'm able to stand right now. I spoke at a conference these last 3 days. I just got back this afternoon for Liberty Christian over at Lazy F Ranch. My intention was to teach from the ground. I actually teach a Bible class over at Liberty Christian every day, and I actually teach on the floor. And so when it's nice, we go outside, and there's a tree there, and I lay on the grass under the tree, and I kind of look like the cool teacher. But when the smoke was here and it's cold outside, I lay on the floor in the classroom, and I look like an idiot. But it is what it is. I did throw my story on Facebook. If you care, you can kind of read what's going on with me. But by the grace of God, I was actually able to stand for the studies, and then I would go straight to my room and collapse on the bed. And so God gave me just enough strength that I needed. And so afterwards, I may not be able to chat afterwards, unless you want to follow me to the office or something, and I'll crash on the floor. But you can always email me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Tonight is a little peculiar for me because Steve is going through a study on dating and marriage and relationships. And he asked me to cover for him tonight because he doesn't know how to be a creative dater. No, just kidding. He's at a pastor's conference right now, and so they're getting back late tonight. And so he asked me if I would cover, and he said, "Hey, if you want to do creative dating, that would be great." And so while I hope to have fun with this, it is going to be a little bit, like I said, peculiar for me because, one, it's not like I'm going through a passage in the Bible about creative dating. When I go through a Bible study and I read the Word of God, either you like it or you don't, and, who's to argue with the Word of God? But as we're going through creative dating, the reality is you may agree with me on this and you may not. And so this is just kind of... I hope it's helpful information. If anything, some stuff for you to build on. Certainly, we have a wide variety of people here. So how many people are single here? Okay. Single, okay. Okay, so I've got high school kids and adults and college age. Okay, and how many people are married? Okay, so, oh, wow. Hello, married people. Right on, good for you. So you can see that I'm trying to reach a wide variety of people here, and I'm going to do the best that I can to do that. So I'm just asked that you're going to kind of bear with me on this whole thing. So I'm going to try to reach high school single people, maybe some college single people, and even you married folk who have everything figured out. So since we're on the topic of creative dating, do we still have the microphones? Perfect. So at the end here, what I might do is, for those of you who have done a cool creative date, if you want to kind of share one, just to kind of share your wealth of information, that would be wonderful for the rest of us. But first, if you will, turn to a couple passages. The first one is 1 Peter chapter 3. I want to start off with, before I give you some ideas for creative dating, the first thing I want to say is if you missed Steve's study last week, get it. Listen to it, because this doesn't really do you any good unless you listen to Steve's study last week. But I do want to kind of build on some things. First one's 1 Peter chapter 3, and then believe it or not, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, even though he talks about sex. And we're talking about dating. So 1 Peter chapter 3 and 1 Peter chapter 3 and 1 Corinthians 7. So in 1 Peter chapter 3, in verse 1, he says, "Wives, likewise be submissive to your own husbands, that even if some do not obey the word, they without a word may be won by the conduct of their wives, when they observe your chaste conduct accompanied by fear. Do not let your adornment be merely outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Rather, let it be the hidden person of the heart with the incorruptible beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very precious in the sight of God. For in this manner, in former times, the holy women who trusted in God also adorned themselves, being submissive to their own husbands, as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters you are if you do good, and not are afraid with any terror." In verse 7, he says, "Husbands likewise dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered." And so I like this because he's kind of doing a counseling appointment here. And what he's doing is he's talking to the women, and what is the women's problem? What's that? We don't have any? Okay, moving on. What's the guy's problem? What does he say there in verse 1? Be submissive to your own husbands, and I'll give you a hint. The issue isn't submissiveness. To your own husbands, that even if some do not obey the word, they without a word may be won by the conduct of their wives. And so what issue is he dealing with? What's that? Okay, yeah, we're getting there. Talking too much. Or more, someone said it. Nagging, right? That's the issue, okay? So we picked on the women, all right? So verse 7, husbands likewise dwell with them with what? What's their problem? They don't get women. So women feel like they need to tell their husband, right? And so what does the husband want? He just wants peace. And so he'll say whatever he needs to say to stop being in trouble. The problem with men, a lot of times I hear men all the time saying, listen to your wife. And that's absolutely true. But more importantly, I think Peter nails it, is that you need to understand your wife. You need to figure out where she's coming from. And that was the biggest thing for me. My wife comes from a broken home. Her parents got divorced when she was in high school. My parents are still together to this day. And I didn't realize that had caused issues in our marriage. I realized that caused insecurities in our marriage. Every time we argued, it concerned her, and it never concerned me. Because I grew up in a home where my parents argued, we slammed doors and all that stuff, and they're still together. And so I never was worried about me leaving or my wife leaving. My wife had different insecurities about that. And when that got brought up, I was like, the light bulb went on, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing to my wife on this whole thing? And so that's where this verse came alive to me, was understanding my wife. What bugged me so much was not so much that my wife nagged me, but it was all of the questions that she gave me. My wife would ask me she was able to ask me one question 5 different ways. I can't believe how she was able to do it, but she did it. And it would drive me insane because I felt like I was being interrogated. And guys don't like being interrogated. Leave me alone. And so what I realized was that all she wanted was to know what was going in my mind, because if she understood me, she felt secure. And actually where she really felt secure is where she felt that I understood her. The problem is I'm not thinking about anything, and I don't care, right? And so it took her a while to figure that whole thing out. And so when I look at the whole creative dating issue, that's one of the things I hope that you keep in mind is that you're dealing with a girl, and it's, as far as guys are concerned, you're dealing with a girl, and it's really important to, you're going to go a long way if you know how to treat her. You follow me? The other thing is in 1 Corinthians 7, he says, now, what he's talking about here, the context here is sex. And I'll just read the passage so you get the context. In verse 1, he says, concerning the things of which you wrote to me, it's good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Let the husband render to his wife the affection due her, and likewise also the wife to her husband. And so what he's saying there is that, and again, he's talking the sexual context here. Let a man render to his wife the affection due her, and likewise the same, a wife render the affection that's due her husband. And so, even though he's talking in the sense of a sexual institution here, I think the point still applies is that there's an affection that's due to the other person, and you got to find out what that affection is. Right? And so when it comes to the whole creative dating thing, what will go a long way is understanding, and typically when we're talking about dating, and we're going to kind of hit this in just a little bit, what should be happening is the guy should be going after the girl and winning her, right? And so you'll win her if you understand her. You'll win her if you know what her affections are. And so if she doesn't like going to football games, right, and, you're not going to get you're not going to get very far with that whole thing. So, again, when it comes to the whole creative dating thing, that's pretty much all the passages I'm going to use. But when it comes to the creative dating thing, again, I want to encourage you to listen to Steve's study. But concerning single guys, we'll talk to you guys first. And this actually does go, this is the same as married people too, this first one. But what do you think is the worst date that a girl will go on? And, I'm just talking kind of tongue in cheek here. I'm sure there's really bad dates that girls go on. But generically speaking, probably a not so hot date is when a guy goes up to a girl and goes, hey, what would you like to do? Right? Why? Why? Because it's lame, right? I'm so special, right? Thank you for putting all that thought and that, consideration, right? And so a guy that comes up to a girl has no plans, no preparations. You're lame. So put some thought and some consideration to it. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys first. What we're going to do is talk to you guys about how to ask a girl out. Girls, I got some good information on how to say no, if you want to. What you should do when you're out on a date, and then some ideas of what you, in the sense of how to behave on a date, and then what are some fun things that you guys can do, okay? So the first thing is how to ask a girl out. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you look nice and you smell nice, and you look like the type of person that she's going to have a good time with, right? And so if you go up to her and you've got bad breath and you don't take a shower and you got some BO, you're probably not going to go that far. So make sure that you look and smell like a person that she's going to have a good time with. Now, this isn't, 100%, you have to do it, but preferably, don't ask a girl out over the phone. Don't be a coward. Go right up to her and look straight in her eyes and ask her out. Now, these are all going to kind of be, these are points, but they're all going to come together because it's not the point to ask her out quite yet. You don't want to ask her out in front of her friends because you don't want to pressure her, embarrass her, anything like that. By the way, I got these points from Brad Henning, and his book is called Don't Take Love Lying Down. And you can get his book in the bookstore, but I want to make sure that even since this is being recorded, that I'm not plagiarizing. So I'm giving props to Brad. Tell her where you're going to take her out. Girls want to know all the information. They're gonna want to know what, where, when, why, and all that kind of stuff. So tell her where you're going to take her out before you ask her out. Tell her when the date will be. Tell her when you will be picking her up and when she'll be getting home. Tell her if other people are coming with you so she's not surprised. Tell her how you plan to get where you're going. Are you guys going to walk there? Are you guys going to take the bus? Or are you going to pick her up? Let her know. And then finally ask her if she wants to go. Okay, so you go up to a girl and you got to make sure that you smile and you're excited about this, right? So if you go up and you act like this is going to be the worst thing in the world, so this is a way that you could do it. Hey, Sarah. I don't know. I just thought of a name. Lindsay. Hey, Lindsay. At our church, there's a comedy night. They do a comedy night at the church, and it's supposed to be really good. In fact, the theme is Back to the Future, and they're going to have a DeLorean there, and there's going to be all these skits, and it's supposed to be a really great time. And there's going to be a dinner there. And they got hamburgers and things like that. It's going to be next week. It's about 7:00. Do you think you'd like to go? Right? Does it sound like pretty good? Does that sound better than, you want to hang out sometime? Girls, which one would you rather say yes to? Yeah, right? Okay, and so you go up to her and make sure she's excited. And make sure you act excited. If she says yes, then you need to make sure that you act excited. All right, that's awesome. So now you know what you do? Right after you do that? You go, okay, so do you mind if I get your phone number so I can call you and confirm, and if anything changes, then I'll make sure to let you know. Right? You know what you just did? Bam. Sly dog. Got the girl's number, right? That's the way that's a cool way to do it, okay? And tell her if your parents don't know you, then ask her, would it be all right, if I meet your parents so they can know who I am? And make her feel comfortable that way. And then make sure that after you go on the date and you take her home, you call her the next day or send her a note and tell her that you had a good time. Right? What are girls always bummed about? I just heard some ahs right there. Right? What are they always complaining about? He never called. Right? And so here's the deal, Christians. You want to be the coolest date that the girl ever had. You want to be the one that set the standard. So if it doesn't work out or whatever, and she goes and dates other guys, she compares them to you. Be the classy guy. Be the one that does it right. Okay, and now, what if she says no? What's the matter with you? Okay, so the first thing that you don't do is you don't ask why. Okay, you don't want to put her in a situation to have to make excuses. She shouldn't have to make excuses. She should be able to just say no, and that's okay. And so if she says no, then you can reply, are you sure it's going to be a really great time? It's going to be a really good night. Are you sure that you don't want to go? And if she says no, then you go, I really appreciate you telling me that. Thank you, and maybe some other time, and be a gentleman about it. And then you leave immediately. You don't make the whole thing awkward and make her feel uncomfortable, because if you do want to end up asking her out again, she's going to remember how awkward and weird that whole thing was. And you don't want to put her in that position. So be the guy that's classy and just says, all right, I really appreciate it. Maybe some other time. And walk away with your head held high and be cool about it. And sometimes what girls are doing is they're just saying no because they want to see how you're going to act. Because they're punks that way. They like to dangle us on a string. My wife did that to me, but I got her. Okay, girls, I was online trying to find some good ways for women to say no, because the reality is that there might be times where you do want to say no. and whatever your reasons are. You have your reasons, and that's quite all right. And a lot of people online, quite frankly, I thought gave real bad advice to women on how to say no. Sometimes they were lying. One of the difficult things about saying no to a guy is you want to be able to say no in a way that he gets it. But on the other hand, you want to say you don't want to hurt his feelings. But if you don't hurt his feelings, then you feel like you're giving him a little bit of hope, right? And you don't want to do that whole thing. And so this is a lady that I thought gave some pretty good advice. She said, number one, no matter how flattered or disgusted you are by the invitation, show appreciation for his invite. It's hard to get up the nerve to ask someone out on a date, so put your empathy goggles on and make sure to thank him for thinking of you. And that's really important. It is the scariest thing in the world for a guy to muster up the nerve to go ask a girl out on a date. And so make sure that you show some empathy on the whole thing. You don't make him feel ridiculous. The second thing she says is don't make up lies. And I really appreciate that she said that. And she said, but be graciously honest. If you already have a boyfriend, let the person know. If you don't have a sweetheart, but you are still not interested, tell him the truth. It's okay to simply say no, thank you. It is true. You can tell him or her that you are just not interested in dating anyone right now. You don't owe an explanation. But if you have an honest one, you can share it. Number three, don't give excuses. These may lead the person on. If you give an indefinite response, it can give false hope to the person asking. For example, don't say, I can't date right now because I'm focusing on my exams. He might think that you're not available now, but you will be after exams are over. If you say, I'm trying to get over a bad breakup, it may sound like you're telling him or her to give you a little bit more time and asking them again. Remember, you don't owe them an explanation, and I think that's the tough thing at times. If you give an explanation, then if I were to ask a girl out and she were to give me an explanation as to why she couldn't, you know what, you guys are, I don't know. I hate to quote it, Dumb and Dumber. But when he's asking her out and she says no, and he goes, so is it like 1 in a million? Right? He said, yeah, what? What is it? So you're saying there's a chance, right? And that's how we are. We're totally that way. So you don't owe them an explanation. Just say no. Don't try to be nice. Whatever your decision is, own it. Don't pretend to suddenly have a rush off or act like you don't hear the request. Be courageous and face the situation, even though it's uncomfortable. Number 5, don't humiliate the person. Even if you think you'll never see him again, don't verbalize bad remarks about him to his friends. And so don't make the person feel bad. And remain cordial. And so obviously if you end up running into this person again, you want to be able to be comfortable around the guy. And so be friendly. But you don't have to be, you don't have to be friends with them, but just be friendly and be respectful. And then finally, don't beat yourself up for saying no. You don't have to, the whole deal is, girls, is with that whole, so you're saying there's a chance type of thing, without intending to, guys can manipulate you. And so, you just need to stand your ground. And especially if you feel like the guy's creepy. If you feel like the guy's creepy, then trust your gut. Say no and stand your ground. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. And so guys need to respectfully receive a no, and girls need to be able to be bold and at the same time respectful and say it. Okay, fair enough. Is that all right? Asking a girl out on a date? We win on there? Okay, so moving on. So she says yes. What do you do now? Make sure you gas up the car before you pick her up. No, I'm sorry, the day before you pick her up. Gas the car the day before you pick her up. Why? So you don't smell like gas, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to smell like gas. And also, it's lame to pick her up and then go fill up the gas. It's just stupid. Yeah, so don't do that. Have the car already gassed up the day before you do it. Make sure you clean the car out and deodorize it. Guys' cars stink because we got our dog in there and we got week-old pizza, and make sure you throw all that stuff out. You need to carry some cash with you. Now, you might be a debit card user, and that's okay, but just make sure that you carry some cash on you for unexpected circumstances. Make sure you open the door for her, you idiot. Now, so I know that, there are some women that, I know where we're going in culture and stuff like that. Women, you need to let the guy do it. You need to let him open the door for you. The reason is because it's good for him. It's good for him to do it. It's good for him to be chivalrous. And so you're doing him a favor by letting him open the door for you. The other thing is the guy's nervous. It gives him something to do, and he feels like he's got victory. I did something right. Because there's a bunch of things he's going to do wrong. So let him open the door for you. It's his chance at victory. Okay? Ladies, help the guy out with the conversation. Okay? Guy, we just talked about it. Girls like to yap. All right? Now's your chance. Right? Guys have a hard time carrying on the conversation. Okay? So one of the things that you want to stay away from is questions that offer a yes or no answer. Why? It doesn't carry on the conversation. Do you like steak? Yep. Okay. So are you like a pasta person? Or are you like a steak person? And I'm a pasta person. Oh, dude, have you been to Carmine's? Have you been to downtown Kennewick and been to that house? And carry on the conversation and try to stay away from those yes or no questions. Make sure the date is safe. Make sure you go into a place that she's going to be safe. And so we're talking about staying away from parties where there's alcohol. There's a lot of parties where people are throwing in things in drinks because you set down a cup, right? And so staying away from parties where there's alcohol, where they're drinking, stay away from bars. We're going to come back to that in a moment, but go into a place that's safe. If you have trouble talking, then maybe you want to go someplace that's close so the car ride isn't that long. Kind of set yourself up for that. But one of the things that you can do is you can turn the radio on. Because every time I'm on a road trip with high school kids and there's no radio on, everyone's just quiet. And immediately when I turn music on, people start talking. They start asking me questions. And then what do I got to do? I got to turn the radio down so I can talk to them, right? So music helps things get going, all right? And so find some appropriate music to put on that will help engage conversation. Do not take her to a movie with sex or nudity in it. So know the movie that you're going to beforehand and make sure that you're not putting things into her mind and in your mind that just don't need to be there. Now, a good thing to consider is to plan the date shorter than longer. Why? People are thinking, what if it goes bad, right? Okay, so we're not aiming for bad. But if it does, then, there you go. But because you want to leave them wanting more, right? And so you're hoping, you're aiming for a good time. You're going to have a great time. Do you want to go to the comedy night at the church with me? It's going to be from 7 to 9. I'll make sure you get home by 10. And so you guys come, you laugh, you have a good time. And maybe she just says, hey, you want to get some ice cream or something? You want to stop by a coffee shop? Okay. Right? But we planned on getting home at 10. And if you do, then it leaves, it's always good to leave people wanting more. And so your first date or two, you don't have to plan an all-day thing, just a suggestion. Find out what she likes to eat. And so talk to her friends. It would be good to talk to her friends. Hey, where does she really like to go? Oh, she loves Olive Garden. And so, you call her up the day before and let her know. Hey, I was thinking we'd go to Olive Garden. Do you like Olive Garden? Oh, how did you know? I'm good like that. Is that okay? And then also use that as an opening line for conversation. Oh, you like pasta and you like Italian food? Have you been to Monte Rosa's? Have you been to Carmine's? Have you been, to these places? And, you have an opportunity for dialogue there. Make sure that you listen to her when she's talking. Pay attention to the things that she's saying, because that can help lead to future dates. And so she says that, she enjoys going to, I'm just going to say roller skating. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And so that's a clue. Hey, she likes to roller skate, or she hates roller skating, or something like that. Make sure that you're listening so that you can use those things in the future. Prepare some things to talk about. And so you want to be ready for a discussion. And so Brad Henning gives, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6 F's to consider. The first one is when you're thinking of talking about things, talk about fun. What do you enjoy doing? Fun. Food. Where have you never eaten? Why? And what's the worst restaurant you've ever eaten in? Have a discussion about that. Friends. Ask about her friends, how she knows, and how long has she known them. Ask if she knows any of your friends. Family. Ask about her family, parents, and sibling. Future. What does she want to do after high school? And faith. So fun, food, friends, family, future, and faith. Where does she go to church? Does she know the Lord? This goes into what Steve shared about last week. How long has she been a Christian? Is she involved in ministry? Is she involved in different services and things like that? And then what about the end of the date? Do you kiss her? No. Good for you. You know what? You are better for it if you don't kiss her on the first date. You want to be that guy that's different than all the other guys. And so it's a great consideration to not cheapen the date by kissing on the first date. Okay? So what about all you married guys? What about when you guys go on a date? Don't kiss her. Keep her one more. Well, it's working because my wife wants more. What's good for us, married, and this is so convicting to me, because when Steve asked me to do this, I'm like, oh my gosh, when's the last time my wife and I do high school ministry? We have the best life ever. I mean, we are just always having a great time. My wife just went on a mission trip to Hawaii. I mean, we just have a ball all the time, and so I was like, when's the last time we've gone on a date? So this is all do as I say, not as I do, and I'm like even preaching to me right now. But the first thing for us, same with us guys, we want to prepare. I don't want to go to my wife and say, hey, what do you feel like doing? Yeah, let's go on a date next Tuesday. What do you want to do? Right? It would be good for us guys to do the same thing. Now, why do single people go on dates? Because we're lonely. Nothing better to do. We do it so we get to know them, right? Okay, so why do married people go on dates? To get to know them. Who is this person living with me? Yeah. To get away from what? Yeah! I'm aware of some little people running around, and I need to get away. Yeah, keep that flame going, right? Kindle the fire. So we should, some of these things we still want to consider to keep that flame kindled. And guys, we would be good for it if we prepare ahead of time. So know her schedule, know what she's doing with her life, and prepare. So the first thing is you come to your wife and you say, hey, I got this plan, let's go and do it. And she goes, well, I got to find someone to watch the kids, and we got to clean the house, and I got all this stuff that's going on. And you go, hey, honey, I got this idea for us to go. I got these tickets to such and such place. I got a babysitter for the kids. The house is clean. Why is cleaning the house such a big deal? My wife is stressed out. She doesn't want to leave the house if it's dirty, because she doesn't want to come home to a dirty house. So the times that have been really good for me have been when I have cleaned the house, I have found someone to watch the kids, and so that we can go out and have a good time, and she's not worried about all the stuff that she's got to do. Girls their brains are going and thinking about all the things they got to do. So if I can save her from all that, then she can go and she can enjoy the date. So find someone to take care of the kids, clean the house so she's not stressed. You know what? You need to know what your wife likes to eat. You should know that. It should be something that you have figured out. And when you do go out on the date, make sure if you're talking to so if you have a babysitter or if the kids are old enough to stay home, tell them to not text or call mom. Say, I'm the filter. You call me. We're going out on a date. Do not bother mom. And so when they do call you, where's the remote? Not my problem. Right? Johnny's hair's on fire. You know where the hose is. Right? You're the filter. Right? So don't call me unless the house is burning down. Kids on fire, that's okay. But what do you talk about, you guys, when you married people, when you're out on a date? What do you talk about? Not the kids. That's one thing. Do not talk about the kids. What's another thing that you don't talk about? Bills and finances, right? That's a fun discussion. Having a great time. We're poor. Right? That's why we're eating at McDonald's. Candlelight. What's another thing that you don't want to talk about? How about work? I hate talking about work. I'm a pastor. I work at a church. I have the best job in the world. I don't want to talk about it. I want to escape, right? And so, why, just out of curiosity, wives, do you want to know about your husband's work? Some said no, some said yeah. Do you? It's a balance? And why do you want to know? Yeah, exactly, right? He's spending 8 or more hours at that job without you, and you're nosy, and you want to know everything that's going on. And the guy spends 8 hours there, and he hates it, and he just not only do I want to leave it, I don't want to talk about it, right? There are ways to talk about work. And so for those of you women that want to know your husband's life and what he does and be part in that whole thing, there are ways to bring that up. But it is shaky ground conversation. So when you sit down and you have your meal, don't bring it up at first, right? Bills, work, kids, and all that kind of stuff. What do you talk about? That's pretty much everything that goes on in my life, right? Kids, money, and work. I don't know of anything else to talk about. Talk about, someone say sports? Oh, wow, you're married to a great woman. What'd you say? Oh, what have you been doing in your quiet times? Right? What's God showing you? What's he saying to you? That's a great discussion. And go on from there. What else can you say? Talk about? The Bears. What else can you say? Yes. Man, we've been married for 18 years. Did you think that this is what our life would be like 18 years ago? Yes, no, better, worse, Where would you like to, where do we see each other in the next few years? Do we want to go visit Israel? Do we want to go on a mission trip? Do we want to go on a vacation somewhere? I mean, where do we see ourselves in the next 5 years? And have a discussion about that. Now we got something to pray about. Now we got something to work towards. And when we have that discussion, now work comes into play. Do I like my job? Do I want to go somewhere else? Do I, is this where God wants us? Maybe it is, I don't know. But that's kind of an easier segue into work. And, when you're talking about us, because life is more than just going to work, paying bills, coming home and falling asleep, right? Jesus said, I came to give you life and life more abundantly. how abundant it is to just come home depressed every day and pay some bills, right? So who are we as a couple? Are we what we want to be? Are we what God wants us to be? And have those discussions and think about where we want to move forward with our life. What's the best memory that you have of our marriage? What's the worst? Let's open those wounds. What would you have done differently? Now could be a time, I already talked about that. Yeah, some good opportunities for conversation there. Any others? Okay. So what about some creative date ideas? What are some things that you can do? Now, we got the mics. Are they available? Okay. Hopefully you've been thinking about some fun things that you guys have done. I'm going to share with you some things that we have done. When Lynn and I, before we got married, thrift store shopping was the thing. Grunge was the thing. It was in, right? And so we would go, everyone did it. Everyone in high school went thrift store shopping. And so that's what we did. But the only thing that we had was St. Vincent de Paul's, which was lame, and Goodwill. So fortunately, back in the 90s, Yakima had Value Village and they had Olive Garden. We didn't have Olive Garden. So Lynn and I would drive to Yakima. We would go to Value Village. We'd go do some shopping. Then we'd go to Olive Garden, and that was a treat. And then we'd drive home. And so we had about an hour in the car to talk, and it was a great little trip. And then we'd go do our thrift shopping, and she would look at things, and I would look at things, and then we'd go to Olive Garden, and we'd just have a real good time. And so that was one of the dates that I remember. When we got married, one of the fun things that we did is we decided to go out on a date, but we went to the mall first before we went out, and each of us had to pick out each other's outfit. And whatever I bought for Lindsay, she had to wear. And whatever she bought for me, I had to wear. Now, you could go to the thrift store and do that. That would be a whole lot of fun, too. But that was something that was a real good time. That was fun. Our honeymoon. Now, the option for our honeymoon was we could have gone to Hawaii, which would have been a lot of fun, but we opted to go to Disneyland. So we went to Disneyland, Universal Studios, SeaWorld, the zoo. Gosh, I can't remember all the things that we did, but it was fun, man. We just made our honeymoon a blast. We did so many fun things together, and whatever you do on your date, it really needs to be a good time. Be fun and enjoy it. Some other ideas: we love to go bike riding. That's not very creative, but it's cheap, and we love to go and do that. And so we went to Greenie's. I had bought her a bike, a little townie, and I loved it so much I ended up buying me a cruiser. And we just we ride from Howard Amon all the way past Wazoo, and then we come back and then we eat at Sterling's, and it's a great time. It's a whole lot of fun. Some other things that we do: kayaking. You can go to Greenie's and rent a kayak. I'm sure there's people in the church that have them that'd be happy to loan them to you. I'm sure you probably have friends that go kayaking. How much is it to kayak? I mean, if you got to rent it, it's, I don't know how much it is. It might be a little expensive, but there's people here that you can borrow them from. Hiking Badger doesn't cost anything. Anyone here like CrossFit? So CrossFit, they do a thing once a month, and I think they're trying to do it twice a month. That's called Faith RX. So you go and do a Bible study, and then you do a workout, a CrossFit workout. And so if you're interested in, and it's free. So you go, hey, what do you think about going to a Bible study and then doing a workout? And then you guys go out eat some breakfast afterwards because it's in the mornings. I used to love going on dates on yard sales. You ever done that? You're in the car, you're talking with each other, and you go to different yard sales and you make fun of people, and you make fun of the things that they're selling, and you buy something goofy and you give it to her, and this ugly little doll, I'll cherish it forever. It cost me 25 cents, right? Believe it or not, that could be a whole lot of fun. And you don't have to buy anything. It's just, you're just going out and having a great time. There are so many events out at the park to do. We like to go to the art in the park, and there's a whole bunch of other things. The last one we went to was the monster truck one. Did you guys see that one with the combines and the the police cars out there and the military vehicles out there, and it was just a blast. There's some classes that you could go to. Lindsay and I have done dance classes. We like to dance. We're swing dancers. We really enjoy that. And so take up some dance classes or cooking classes or art classes together. You can drive out into the country and go stargazing. So you get in your truck, drive out where you get away from all the lights, jump off Joe or something. You get yourself an air mattress, pump it up, and get some sleeping bags and lay out in the back of the truck and look at the stars. Right? What's that cost? That'd be a whole lot of fun. You could serve at Second Harvest. So Second Harvest out in Pasco, you guys just go out there and you put together some food baskets for people, and it's an opportunity for you guys to talk and get to know each other. You can go on a mission trip together. I throw a couple of things in here. If you're crazy and a little goofy, you could just go to a high school sporting event and dress up and put paint on your face and go crazy, and they're like, who are the weird people? That'd be kind of fun. We have the harvest party here. You can come to the harvest party and work a booth. And, the two of you are painting faces together or working a kid booth of some sort. That would be a lot of fun. You can go fishing. You can find someone with horses and they can teach you to ride. You can buy tickets and go to the Parade of Homes and, pretend that, someday this could be yours when really you live in a shack. You can go to the shooting range. Take some, yeah, right? Yeah, the guys are digging that. My wife likes to shoot guns. Now, my mom, on the other hand, she likes to, shoot a gun and look and go, did I do it right? Mom! Or take a self-defense class or something like that. And, what girl wouldn't like to beat up on her boyfriend, right? You do some sparring and she takes a lot of aggression out on you. And so, yeah. Oh, here's the other thing. If you have done something creative, if you've done a date or something like that, let's just say it's stargazing, right? And you end up getting, you guys break up and you go out with someone else. Do you want to do the exact same thing? No, already people know what I'm saying. Do you want to do the exact same thing with that girl? No, you want to do something different. So it's not like you can ever not go look at the stars. Just make sure you do it different. Go to a different place or make it creative or creatively different or something like that. You don't want to do something that you've already done. Do you want to do something somebody else has already done? Because what do girls do with each other? They talk. They go to the bathroom together and they're yapping and they're going, oh my gosh, he did this. What? He did that with me, or my boyfriend did that. Yeah. So make sure it is something that is completely different and just for her, so that she feels special in the whole thing. Okay? Any questions? I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that all right? Was that helpful? You guys are being nice to me. That was good? Okay. What about you guys? What are some fun, creative dates? Share with us. Yes, right here. We have a mic? There we go.
Who's getting it? Matt.
Right here.
So this is my friend Malin, and I haven't dated in 4 years, and our first date was, we went roller skating, and it was my idea, and it was really fun, and I thought that we both have daughters that are 8, so we brought our daughters, and so they were kind of like chaperone, it was pretty good. And then our second date was Monday. He came to my work, and we had lunch together, and then this is our third date.
All right. Very good. Awesome.
And we talked about things that we could do for fun. And we've talked about taking a swing dancing class.
Cool.
And our next date, which is my suggestion also, is meeting...
I don't have to do anything. So everything that you said is...
is meeting at Badger Mountain at sunrise.
Oh, fun.
meeting
Cool.
there,
Cool.
not going there together.
Sure. Yeah. She's so tough. Anyone else got any? There we go, right there. Awesome.
Yeah, I actually want to encourage, I heard her say it, and I want to encourage women to, I know it's kind of the cultural thing for guys to, make arrangements to take us on the dates, and sometimes we get disappointed and hurt when that doesn't happen, and we just we want it all or nothing, and I kind of learned over the years in marriage that if you can't have it all, you can still have something. So, and with love, you give love and you receive love. So it's absolutely okay, and you can have just as much fun if you arrange it and you're the one initiating it. So I just wanted to say that.
You got to create it right behind you, Nick.
She doesn't know anything about this.
Something fun. Give us an idea.
Go to a concert.
Yeah.
And what would be fun, but I haven't done it yet, is go swimming at night,
Oh, yeah.
right?
You know,
Under
one of the
stars.
things, there you go. Yeah. Look at the stars. One of the things, we haven't done it, but I've heard people sitting on inner tubes at night and watching Jaws on a big screen. Any other? Man, what's that? Oh, yeah, dude, that was so much fun. So, like, one of the things that we used to do is we used to take a big van, and we would pull it in backwards, and then we would take out the bench seats and put them on the ground. And so we would have our own little theater, because we'd turn so we'd have, like, seats in the van, and then we'd have seats down below, and so we'd all watch the drive-in thing that way. One of the things that we did after homecoming, my senior year of homecoming, a friend of mine and I went with a girl that was a friend, and we went as a group. And my buddy and I, we went to the thrift store and we bought couches. And so we put these couches and barbecue in the back of the truck. And after homecoming, we went out to the river in Findlay, and we made this kind of living room thing with couches and a fire. And we brought our guitars and we just sang. I think we had like a recliner and couches, and it was just a cool that was fun. And then I think we dumped the couches somewhere. I don't remember what we did with them. I think gave them away. I don't remember what we did. But that was cool. That was a lot of fun. What were you going to say?
Milton Freewater has a drive-in, so you can actually still do that.
There are some around here, aren't there? Is there one?
Think in Milton
Where?
Freewater.
Milton Freewater.
Yeah, Milton
Is that what you
Freewater,
said?
that's what I said.
Oh,
but,
I thought you
yeah.
said, I don't think there are any
Milton
around here.
Freewater,
I'm
yes.
sorry, I misheard you. Yeah, awesome.
Think I could be some
Drive-in
help.
theater, Milton Freewater. Over here. You got an idea over here.
Well, it was, but Kevin's not here to race.
One of the things I remember doing was going on a road trip, like there's no kids, going on a road trip where we were flipping the coin to see which way we were going to turn. And whenever we came across like a scenic side or like caverns or something, kind of detouring and exploring and having, kind of having fun or flipping the coin as to where you're going to eat even. And then I think we ended up in Montana, so it was quite the trip.
We
And
ended
there's
up
a
in
lot of
Montana.
talking and stuff, so it was a lot of
Were you
fun,
able to get
actually.
back?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, it was a kind of ended up being
The adventures,
more of a
those are
weekend
always the
thing,
ones.
but for married couples, I think that's a
The
good
adventures. Awesome.
idea. Kind of fly by the
Cool.
seat of your pants.
Very good. Very good. Okay, well, I am on my last leg, so I'm going to close this and pray. Let's just go ahead and do that. Father, thank you so much for the fact that you made us male and female, and that we get to enjoy one another. And I know we can be nervous at times and not know quite what to do, but you're a God that's creative. I mean, look at this world. And we just pray that you would give us a creative mindset, especially us guys, to make an effort to continue to just rekindle that fire and continue to spark conversation and to just ignite the relationship that we have with our wonderful wives. I pray for the marriages that are here, that you would bless them. I pray for the guys that are single, that you would not just encourage them to wait, but when the time comes for them to ask that girl out, that they would do it with honor and respect, and it would just be something that is just the door is opened by you, and it's just a really good time. I pray that they would take them out in a way that keeps them safe, that it is fun and it's good and it's pure, and that we would just be doing things right in the world of dating, both for married and for singles. So we just, again, I lift these people up to you, pray that you would bless them, that you'd bless the week. We just ask that you do these things in Jesus' name. Amen.